A report to be released tomorrow morning indicates there are growing fears about how Australia's electricity system will cope as more renewables come online. Currently, 5 states and the ACT share a national grid, joined together by 40,000 kilometres of extra high voltage transmission lines. Those states trade their electricity, buying and selling it from each other. Here's how it should work. Each state, in theory, should be able to cover its own electricity needs. But say Queensland can't generate enough of its own, it can buy in electricity from another state. New South Wales will sell it at the best market price. It's simple supply and demand that pushes the price up and down. As political editor Chris Uhlmann reports, on one occasion, South Australia's network connection was down and the consequences were drastic.
Coal is the big cog in Australia's electricity system. It generates 60% of the nation's power and pumps out 1/3 of its carbon emissions. The only engine driving change in electricity generation is the federal decree that just over 23% of power must be renewable by 2020.
Currently we're at 15%, so we've got a long way to go.
South Australia's gone further, faster, and that's exposed some real risks in transition.
Well, South Australia's experience was a real wake-up call for the national electricity market.
40% of South Australia's power is wind generated. When it blows, subsidised renewable electricity floods the grid, pushing the wholesale price down. That's helped drive the closure of South Australia's coal plants. When the wind stops, the state relies on gas and 2 transmission lines to Victoria's brown coal power. But on July 7, there was what the energy market operator called a non-credible event. There was no wind and the main transmission line was down. When demand peaked at 7:30 p.m, the electricity wholesale spot price spiked from that year's average of $60 to $9,000 a megawatt hour. With the wholesale price steadily rising, even small customers will pay in the long run. South Australia is just one player in an energy market that connects 5 states, and the changing power mix presents significant challenges for the regulator.
The recent events in South Australia highlighted some of the implications of a transition to a lower emission economy, which also sees higher renewables.
Some energy experts believe the price spike sounds a warning to the nation.
So we end up not achieving our emissions targets, or if we do it at even higher cost than is necessary, and in the meantime, there could even be a risk of blackouts.
There's a common market in power, but no agreed national approach to cutting carbon emissions in the sector. Without a carbon price, the renewable energy target's driving all the change in the electricity market, and that's distorting it. The federal and state energy ministers are trying to hammer out plans to ensure the market makes a smooth transition to renewables.
Well, I'd like to see more of a harmonisation of policies across the state and the federal government.
The man who has to juggle environment and energy says he can balance all demands.
Well, my goal is to have reliable energy supply, is to have affordable energy supply, and at the same time ensure that Australia transitions to a lower emissions future.
There is one certainty: no matter what power mix is used to replace coal,
it will cost more, and pretending otherwise is a great mistake, and people will not forgive our political leaders for that mistake.
or letting the lights go out. Chris Uhlmann, ABC News, Canberra.